Hello everybody, welcome back. In the last segment we were discussing Excel and we were talking about how to enter information into some of the cells. In this segment we're going to talk about modifying the cells and formatting the cells. Oddly enough, those are not exactly the same thing. So let me start with this little example that I've got here. We have a customer contact list and I've only put one person's information in there. So right off the bat, I can see that the information in the billing address is not all showing up. So there's several things that you could do. If you come between the end of the column, which it's in column B, and the beginning of the next column, see how my mouse turns to a different shape? If you click and hold and drag, it expands that column. And you can keep going until you get it all to fit. And then the same goes for the numbers, phone numbers, fax, and you can go through each one like this and manually resize them. Or let me put it all back, show you something else you can do. You also have the option to automatically resize them. So one way you could do that is by double clicking this line, and it automatically makes it as wide as it needs to be. The same is true for rows. So if I needed my row to be taller, like if I change my font size, and see how now it's a little bigger. Let me put that back because I don't like that. Okay, another thing that we can do is wrap the text. And to do so, I'm going to come up to the search bar and I'm just going to type wrap. And it's automatically going to come up with wrap text. So when I click on it, it wraps the text, which means that when it gets to the end, see the word drive wouldn't have fit here, so it automatically wraps down to the next line. And then California also did the same thing. And let me show you a few other very interesting things. Like, for example, if I make this bigger now, it doesn't need to wrap quite as much. Let me show you a couple of other interesting things. So let's say you have several lines here. Let me expand this to fit. And move this back up. Okay. I'm going to copy this row. So I'm going to highlight the entire row by clicking here. In the other segment, I showed you that you could come up and use copy and paste here. But you can also right click on it after you've got it highlighted. And here's the same options. We also use the delete command over here. And here's delete and insert and clear contents, format cells. We've got a lot of things here that we can use. So let's say I copy this and I'm just going to paste it. And I'll just paste that one. I'm just trying to get a couple examples here. I'm going to highlight both those rows. And I'm going to paste them. So now I've got 4 rows. So I want to show you something that you can do. Let's say this one is a little bigger. So it needs to be a little bigger. I can highlight all of these rows. And I could go in and say, okay, well this one needs to be bigger. Move it down, and they automatically all move to the same size. And the same is true with the columns. Obviously, they would all move to the same width. Another thing you could do is you can come right up here where above the 1, where it intersects with the A, this little triangle looking thing is called the select all. If you click it, it selects everything. And the same as before, if I resize any row, They all resize to fit, to match. Even if it doesn't, even if it's not the best way to do it. And see how all these are done it. So every row on this workbook automatically would be selected and would change with it. Alright, let's say I come through here and let's say these are all different people. Let me just make a quick couple changes. Let's say these are John Smith, Sarah Smith, and I don't know, Kim Smith. So let's say, I'm going to put this one back because I don't like them being different. Let's say I need to add one before Sarah Smith. I can come in here and highlight Sarah's row and right click and tell it to insert, and it'll put a blank row above Sarah and below John. So now I could type, I don't know, Dave Smith if I wanted, or whatever. You can do the same for columns. So I could highlight a column, and let's say I want to put another column here before the billing address. I could just right click on it anywhere in here and tell it to insert, and because the whole column is selected, it would automatically shift them all to the right, and I could put a new column in here. So let's say, what would be a good one? I've got contact name, billing address. I don't know, let's say repeat. Are they a repeat customer? And then I could go in and say yes, 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 no, yes. Whatever I want. Likewise, if I decide to delete, if I highlight the whole row, the whole column, if I come over to clear the contents, that's going to delete everything in there, but it's not going to shift it over. If I tell it to delete the row, the column, then it would delete it. Notice the word list stayed there. That's because it's technically in A. It's not technically in B. Just since there's nothing in B, it's just showing it. If I made this bigger, then it wouldn't be like that. Okay, something else you can do that's fun. Let's say I decide C and D, I don't want them showing up. I can right click and I can come down here and tell it to hide those. Now they're still here, they're just hidden. See, I'm on B, C and D are hidden. If I want to bring them back, I can highlight the two on both sides and tell it to unhide, and it'll unhide anything in the middle. So that's something that you can do. Sometimes you have so much information on a worksheet, and it would be confusing for people to see all of that. So in this case, they wouldn't need to see everybody's email addresses and phone numbers and stuff. They just want to know how much units they purchased or whatever. So I could hide all of the information that's irrelevant, that would just confuse them, while I do my presentation and show them. And then I could always go back and unhide it later if I wanted to. Okay, now I want to show you how to merge some cells and make things better. I'm clicking on a different chart here. Now you can pause the video and type in this stuff if you want. I'm making a fitness chart, and I want to show you some things that we can do to these cells to make them look more professional or more better. More better. Okay, so right off the bat, I have my title, and it's just these small little letters just like everything else. So I'm going to click in this cell, and I'm going to move to the right about here, and I'm going to do something called a merge. So if you come up here where it says merge and center, and you click that, it merges all of the text, all of these boxes into one box, and it centers it. So the stuff that was in the middle is now in the middle of that box. If you're not sure if you want to do that, you can click the drop down and you have merge and center, merge across, merge the cells, or unmerge the cells. I'm going to leave it like that. And let's say I want it to look a little better. I'm going to come over here to my letters. See how this one's the letter A and it's got a color underneath it. Whatever color I pick is what color that text is going to be. And if you just point to it, you can see it change. So do I want green? Do I want blue? Do I want kind of an orangish color? Red? Any of these colors that I want. I can also come down to where it says more colors. And I have a lot more choices here. These are all still standard. I can come over where it says custom, and I can really make my own color. Any color I want. And when you pick a color you want and click OK, now that option is going to be there for me to use. So, but for now, let's just pick a regular color. Let's pick something like red, I guess. And now I also, since this is my title, I'm going to want it to be bigger. So I'm going to click on this number here. And as you point to numbers, it's going to show you how big that would be. So see how it gets bigger as you go down. I would obviously want my title to be pretty good size. So I'm going to come to 36 and point to that. And right now, Calibri is chosen. But I could choose anything I wanted. And you can't really see it right now, but it kind of gives you an idea in the word itself how it would look. Arial's another pretty popular one. Maybe I'll pick that. And now these are my headings for the different columns. So I'm going to select those. And let's go ahead and let's hit the bold button right here. That just makes the letters thicker. And you can underline it or italics it. I'm going to give it a background color. This one right here, this one was for the letters. This one's for behind the letters. So if I click this, I can come in and pick any color I want. If I pick yellow, that's what it's going to look like. If I pick green, that's what it's going to look like. Dark green, blue. I think I'm going to pick this greenish color. I think that's looking pretty nice. That's a nice contrast to the red that I've already got up here. And so now there's some other stuff you can do as well. Let's go ahead and let's highlight all of these with the information in them. And let's go up to fill the color. And let's pick a color. It really doesn't matter what color, because I'm going to try to show you something important here. So I'm going to pick this kind of a, I don't even know what color that is, kind of an orangish beige, I guess. And notice that all the grids have disappeared. That's okay. We can bring them back if we want. All of these that are on here that are kind of lighter colored, these won't be here when you print. But the ones that we're going to put on now, I'm going to highlight these again. And look right up here. Make sure you're in the Home tab. And look up here right above the word font. And see this little box that looks kind of funny? If you click the drop down, you have a whole bunch of choices. This one is a bottom border. Well, it would be the bottom border for the box. So when I click off of it, see how there's one line down here now, and that's it. There's the top border. There's the left border and a right border. There's no borders. If I don't want there to be any borders, I can just click that, which is basically what it is already. If you want all the borders, you can click all borders, and that puts them all back in there. You can also tell it you want a thick outside border, so that makes that line thicker outside than the ones inside. And you can come down and tell it you want a bottom with a double border. See how it's got two lines here? If I click that, now I've got two lines on just the very bottom one, because I told it the bottom one to do that too. There's a lot of different choices. There's a thick bottom border, there's a top and bottom border. You're going to have to play around with it. Get it like you want it. Now it's important to realize that these lines will show up when you print. If you don't want them there, highlight it and tell it no borders. And then they won't show up when you print. The color will show up, but the other part won't. So a little bit more. Let's say right now I highlight these 3 rows. And I come up here and I tell it left align everything. Left align means put it to the very left of the box that it's in. So if I hadn't taken out my lines, I was still showing all the borders, you could see that everything is now to the left. This one's center, puts it right in the middle. This is right align. And then these do the same thing but up and down. So this is bottom. You can't really see a difference because they're all the same height. But if I change them, now you can see that they're all at the bottom. Now they're in the middle, and now they're all at the top. So this is just some of the fun things that you can do to play around with it. We will do more in the next section, so I will see everybody there. Bye, everybody.